to Author Experts podcast. My name is Heather Marie, and I am a children's book author. I have today with me Lindsay Liam, a speech pathologist.
Speech language pathologist, or commonly known to a lot of people as a speech therapist, depending on where you are in the world.
So, how does speech and language development impact a child's ability to learn to read?
Speech and language is actually, a lot of people don't realize just how much it relates to reading. So if you think about building a house, you have to have a strong foundation for building a house. Well, before a child ever has to decode the words that are on a page, take that out of the equation and let's take a look at the pictures that are on the page. And a child has to be able to make connections and put their thoughts, like express their thoughts of what they're seeing on a page, as well as understand, like the ability to understand what is being said to them or what they're interpreting from the page before they can ever attach that meaning to the written words on the page. So if a child has a delay in speech and language, it makes it much more difficult for them to be able to learn to read. And then by the time they reach school age, they're already behind because they missed that pre-foundation.
Right. That makes sense. So, that being said, how early should children start speech therapy? And are there anything like, I know there's a misconception where a lot of parents feel like they have to have a quote unquote problem to start speech therapy, but what are your thoughts on that?
So my thoughts are, when it comes to early intervention, it is much better to be proactive instead of reactive. So to be proactive, you want to make sure that if you have any kind of concerns in your gut, like don't wait until your child gets into preschool or school aged and waiting until like it brings in the reading components. If you are noticing that your child is having delays in the way they're pronouncing their sounds, or if they're having trouble even following directions, like if you're telling the child to, go do something in the house and you're seeing that there's a disconnect there, or the way they're interacting with other children is difficult, then all of those are things that's like in your gut might be saying, hey, something seems amiss here. Go ahead and jump on that early intervention and speak with a speech language pathologist in your area, or speak to your pediatrician. Sometimes going straight to the speech therapist for a screening is like, I would highly recommend doing that because so many therapists are able to provide a child with a screening that can say, hey, yeah, we're picking up on the same things that you're seeing, and we might need to move forward with intervention. The sooner we understand what a child needs, the sooner that we can provide them with the supports they need. So that way they can have that foundation that we spoke about them needing for reading. And once that foundation is there, then they are not having to play catch up because they will already be setting that with that support to be able to move forward.
Right. So when they're there and they've gotten through that part and really like have a concrete foundation, can you explain the connection between expressive, receptive language skills and reading comprehension? Because I know a lot of kids struggle with reading comprehension, even when we're seeing like second, third graders as well, not just little kids that are just starting to read.
Right. Absolutely. So when you look at expressive language, it's the child's ability to take their thoughts and to put it into communication. So the ability to take your thoughts and express it commonly with words, but sometimes with gestures and other modalities of communication, right? And then receptive is the ability to hear something or see something and be able to attach meaning to it and comprehend it and understand it. So then that plays into reading because the child not only needs to be able to express or convey the thoughts that they're reading, or if they don't understand what they're reading, be able to express the need for further assistance, but also for the comprehension aspect of it. If a child, let's say some children, they're really good at decoding a word. So they might be able to go at and say cat.
Right.
But if they can't, when they say that, if they're not able to build a picture in their mind of a cat, then they're not attaching meaning to that. They're not understanding that.
Right. Now, if you suggest finding things that the kids are maybe interested in to work on reading comprehension versus something they might not be interested in, do you see like more kids that are more receptive of something they like? Like, let's say they like cats or they like dogs or they like cars. If you have a child that doesn't necessarily like cats and they like dogs, and you have a cat in front of them and they're not really paying attention, do you think having something they would like, would they have a better outcome of learning reading comprehension?
Oh gosh, absolutely. So, I, as a speech pathologist, I am a huge believer in child led learning. So, having a child take the lead and leaning into what a child really like loves to do. So, leaning into the child's interest is
Right.
going to give you, as the person that's facilitating their learning, whether that be a parent, another caregiver, a teacher, educator, or a therapist, it's going to give you that power because you are showing that you are invested in that child. You are meeting them, and you have to have connection before you have communication.
I love, love, love that you're saying that because a lot of times, even myself as a parent, it's hard to give the lead to the child, but sometimes that's what they need to really
Oh,
move forward and go to the next step.
definitely, definitely. And so, when it comes to reading, like a lot of times I say, hey, like if your child is interested in a cartoon they've seen on TV, then you could get the book. And as long as the pictures are engaging in the book, if they're a really young child and they're pre-literacy, don't even worry about reading the page. Like you can start fostering that love for reading by just having the child interact with the pages. Like if it's a puppy that's on a page and he's eating an ice cream, then you want to play and make the book interactive. So you're going to see that ice cream, you'll be like, yummy ice cream, and you pretend like you're eating it. You give the child a chance to play around, and you can skip over the words altogether. And then once they've developed a love for like that book, then you can start reading the story and introduce the actual words on the page, if you will, at a later time.
What are your thoughts on the literacy crisis we're seeing today, especially in underserved communities? And how can speech therapy help bridge that gap?
So, unfortunately, there is such a unfortunately, the literacy crisis is very heartbreaking in what we're seeing. And the even wilder thing about it is that it is preventable. So, the big problem in the underserved communities is the lack of access. And when you don't have access, you don't have support. When you don't have support, then it creates this whole snowball effect. So, children that don't have access and don't have resources, then by the time they get to the the prime level for whenever a child would begin reading
Right.
in, kindergarten, first, second grade,
Hey, go
they're
was
al-
talking.
yeah,
You're already behind.
they're already behind, they're already defeated. And then it just continues on from there because now it's even harder. And
Right.
so speech and language therapy can help to combat that by providing that support and really helping to identify, like, does a child truly have a language delay and a language difference? And when I say language, I don't mean like speaking English versus speaking Khmer or Spanish or French. Like what I mean is their differences in the way that they're fully understanding and utilizing language to communicate, right? And so speech and language intervention is so important in these underserved communities because we want to try to take away some of that friction and some of that frustration before they ever even get to school to help to, like you said, have that foundation.
Right. And luckily here in Jacksonville, I know we do have a lot of organizations that really do help that.
Absolutely.
We have Read USA. We have our amazing governor, our mayor, Donna Deegan. She's really an advocate for literacy. They do a lot of stuff with the city of Jacksonville. There's a lot of free resources that they do. There's free tutoring services they offer, free books for the children as well. So there are a lot of cool stuff out there for us. We're blessed to have that. But
Absolutely.
are there any tools or resources you recommend for parents to support both speech development and early literacy?
So I would say the first and foremost, most important thing is for parents to look at your local resources. I know in the state of Florida, we have Child Fund and I think it's Early Steps, right, for the state of Florida.
Yeah.
And then in Georgia, there's the Babies Can't Wait program. Both of those are 0 to 3 that it's free services for family to have their child evaluated and looked at to see, like, are they having delays? And that is a resource that any family can use to get an evaluation from a speech pathologist. But the tricky part is because it is a free resource, sometimes there are waiting lists. So when you take that into consideration, then you have your private practice therapists like myself. You also have bigger entities that can provide speech and language services. But for the parents that don't have access to that, that's why you've seen my social media. That's why on my social media and my YouTube page that I'm always trying to provide like direct insights into our speech therapy sessions so that parents can take that and use it.
Tell us, how can they find you? How can our viewers find you? And I know I've been on your website as well, and you do offer free resources too, downloadable free resources.
Absolutely. So my website is speechandsuchtherapy.com, and you can find me on Instagram, TikTok, as well as YouTube for Speech and Such Therapy. And like I said, or like you said on my website, I have free, so many videos that actually shows you what to do, like how to engage with your child. And the other thing that I was going to say when it comes to resources is when a parent sometimes reaching out for support outside of your bubble. I mean, I have 4 kids, so I know like it can be a lot just to take that step to go seek out additional support and services. So I want to make it so that parents can have things right there in their home to make it accessible to support their child. So you always hear play, 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 but I mean, that is truly the key in helping children learn and grow is just by playing with them. Aside from social media channels that you can access for free, there are also programs like Epic Books, Vooks, which is like audiobooks and picture books that you can see and read. Our local library here in Jacksonville is amazing. I mean, there's so many resources that you can access there for reading and play. And then just even at home, like if you have some of the board books, you could do something similar to like what we've developed here is called a smash mat, right? And so having pictures and giving the child the ability to have something tangible that relates to the books they're reading, whether that's a picture book, like your book, like Pickle Juice and Patty Cakes.
Which she's amazing, and she actually did the smash mat for my book, both of my books, but this is Pickle Juice and Patty Cakes Ice Cream Adventure, and she made this smash mat to go with it. And then also on the back is reading comprehension questions. So what we were talking about earlier is finding something that your child is interested in, and they will have so much fun learning. And this, I can tell you, is a great tool. I do it in preschools, I do it in elementary schools, and the kids love it. Like even second, third graders that are above this, they still love it. They still love Play-Doh. So just find something that the kids really love and enjoy.
Right.
Also, what is that?
Okay. So for fun today, because I am a speech language pathologist, I brought along my little mouth friend here. And this is just a prop that kind of shows you how making something tangible can really draw in the interest of a child. So if I'm working on speech sound development, I can tell a child all day, like, oh, you need to put your tongue up and back for the R sound. But if I have something tangible that draws their attention, a visual. So like I was like, oh, let's put our tongue up. All right, we're putting our tongue up. We're going to find the bumpies and then we're going to slide it back, make it strong like a muscle. And then they love being able to manipulate this and play it. So whether it's learning speech sounds or learning for reading, anything that you can do to make it tangible. We feed this mouth We let feed the mouth. They feed it all kind of little toys.
Literally my favorite tool that she has. When I saw it, I actually asked her to bring it. But
Yes.
she is amazing. What you do in the community is amazing. We are so blessed to have you. And thank you so much for being on the Author Experts podcast today. And please check her out. Again, can you give them the website again one more time?
Yes. So the website is speechandsuchtherapy.com. And we partner throughout the community. We provide services in homes, in daycares, virtual sessions, and we have some partnerships with some private schools here in the Jacksonville area that we serve. But anytime a family's in need, you can follow along. You can go download some of our free resources. I have a speech and language development checklist resource free to anyone that is on my website. And you can also find me on Instagram and TikTok as well as YouTube at speechandsuchtherapy.com.
Thank you so much. And we will see you next time on the Author Experts podcast.